Hey there, fellow citizens of the internet. Welcome to the Moses Kabandana Podcast. Today I have with me Daniel Gomez, and I will let him introduce himself. Daniel, welcome to the Moses Kabandana Podcast.
Moses, man, what an honor to be here on your show. I'm pumped up. I'm excited. I did an extra workout this morning just for you to be energized, but I'm excited to be here. And Daniel Gomez, man, Daniel Gomez is out of the big state of Texas here in America, and I love people. And I'll tell you what, I'm a success coach. I'm an award-winning business coach, and I create millionaires, right? The Millionaire Mind. We help people really take their life, take their business to the next level, because I speak all over the world, Moses. And one thing that I've really noticed is that over 90% of people undervalue themselves, and they don't feel that they're worthy and deserving of God's best. They don't feel they're worthy and deserving of success. So my message to the world and to entrepreneurs and to businesses, and we do a lot of corporate trainings, is to help people see that they can have absolute success right now, today. And that's what I do. And we do that through our speaking, through our coaching, through our live events. And we do that through our books, like The Makings of a Millionaire Mind. We have our second one coming out. So go to Audible, get this one right now, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind by Daniel Gomez. And then the last thing that we do is we really just care about people. I think so many times people lose the focus in really, when you take care of the people, God will take care of you, because those are God's kids.
I couldn't have said that any better. Were you brought up in Texas?
Born and raised in Texas.
Okay.
Born and raised, yeah. And no, I don't have a horse, and no, we don't own cows, because everybody says, you wear a cowboy hat sometimes? I'm like, no.
Yeah. Man, I haven't spent that much time in Texas. I think the most I've spent was about a week. And I remember I was driving through Texas first time, and like the first 45 minutes, all I see is like all these trucks with this like cow nuts hanging in the back of them. And I was like, where am I? What is going on? But then as you drive through Texas, different parts of Texas are just completely different from others, right? So I need to take like a couple of months and just go and live Texas life and see what that's like. But anyways, that's just like a random segue there that my mind took. What got you into business creation?
Well, for many years, I ran an automotive dealership. I still wear my Chevrolet ring, just because it's something that's a conversation piece, and I believe that if you have a good conversation piece, don't change it. So people always ask me, what is that? What is that General Motors ring? Well, I used to run a Chevy dealership for many years. I was in automotive for 20 years, and very successful. We made a lot of money at the Chevy dealership I ran. I had 100 employees, and I didn't realize, though, at that moment, Moses, how much I knew about business. Because in 2017, my life took a turn, and I don't say for the worse, I say for the better, because my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer, and that drew me out of the car business. I resigned to take care of my wife. She got diagnosed with stage 3. And then she had a double mastectomy. And during that time of her having a double mastectomy, she got depressed. Right. And I didn't realize this at the time, but most women who have breast cancer, over 80% of their husbands usually leave them at some point of the journey. And I was like, what? I was surprised, because I didn't even cross my mind. And then what happened was, as I took care of my wife and I resigned to do that with her, I started looking at myself, because I had never really taken the time to look in the mirror and really reflect. And I thought I would go back to the automotive within 6 months, or just said, well, I can always find another opportunity at a different dealership. And the most miracle thing happened to me during that time. And God just put it in my heart, I want you to be a motivational speaker. Okay. And people laughed at me. So imagine my wife, stage 3 breast cancer, 2 major surgeries, double mastectomy, depressed. And then her husband, Daniel Gomez, inspires, comes and says, hon, I think I'm going to leave the automotive dealership where we're making over $200,000 a year to become a motivational speaker. I didn't see it back then, but she said, she tells me now, I thought you were crazy.
Right. Yeah.
But I was crazy enough to believe that God put that in my heart. God spoke that to me, and I just ran with it, Moses. Almost 6 years later already, I never looked back, and the world is just opened their arms. I've spoken to stage live with Les Brown, with Tom Bilyeu, John Maxwell, some amazing prominent speakers, Andy Elliott. It's been phenomenal. So that's how we started our business. And when I came out, I was just a straight up speaker. I didn't have no products, no services. I was just speaking my way to success.
Yeah.
And henceforth, we just grew and scaled from that point. And here we are 6 years later almost. And we do book publishing. We do podcast launching. We do our Millionaire Mind retreats, our boot camps, our masterminds. And we have 6 revenue streams that have come out of what we do. And it's all by the grace of God. So I'm honored to be here and just share everything with you and your audience.
Awesome. That is quite a journey. Now, are you or were you a natural conversationalist, and that's what made you wanna hop in and be a motivational speaker? Like, how does one simply decide? Like, most of us are terrified to have a conversation with ourselves in the mirror, now let alone trying to address an entire crowd.
Yeah, well, as I look back, as I reflect back on those years in the automotive industry, as I was moving up in the ranks, I always loved to do the sales trainings. I just did, even when I was the main guy, when I was the general sales manager at the Chevrolet dealership. Every Monday I did the sales meetings not because I was arrogant and I wanted to control it. I just love inspiring my team. I love speaking life into them. So every Monday I was getting my reps in 30 minutes. And then as I grew in the dealership, the owner, he was getting older. His son didn't really want to go out there to be the face, to say, at that time.
Yeah.
So they would send me, and I would give out these awards. And one day we had a youth award that we had to give out from Chevrolet to this school. And as I was out there, the principal goes, "Well, do you want to say some words, Daniel, Mr. Gomez?" I was like, I don't have anything to say.
Yeah.
And as I sat down, it's like the Holy Spirit reminded me, "You just spoke on attitude on your Monday meeting. Talk about attitude." And I said, "Well, maybe I can't speak for 30 minutes, but maybe I can say some words for 10 minutes if it's okay." I told the principal that.
Yeah.
She goes, "I would love it." Next thing you know, Moses, I had 300 kids yelling and screaming, "I'm a winner. I'm a champion. I love myself. I believe in myself." And as this transition was happening in my own life, like, I was being reminded, and God was reminding me of what I had already done. And so I had always been an encourager, an inspiration, a motivator, because you have to motivate your sales team. You have to motivate your employees, because if not, you don't have no production.
Right.
And that was the foundation of who Daniel Gomez Inspires grew from.
Well, you just mentioned that you have to motivate your team. You have to motivate the people that you're working with. How do you motivate yourself? Like, what is that self-motivation? It might sound a bit cliche, but it's necessary, right? Like, where do you find that fire within you? Like, when it starts to die down a bit, so to speak.
And that's a great question, because I think many people don't realize that they self-sabotage themselves more than they realize.
Yeah.
Write this down, ladies and gentlemen. As a matter of fact, as me and Moses continue to go on this amazing podcast, get out your pen and paper and take notes, because what you write down, right? Note takers are money makers. Note takers are money makers. So you definitely want to listen to the wisdom that me and Moses are talking about. As you're moving up and you have more success than you ever had, Moses, people can get lazy. The word that comes to mind is satisfied. And I can tell you my wife was diagnosed in 2017. So 2018 is when I really went January head on.
Yeah.
So we just passed our 5.5-year mark in business, went on 6 years. And of course, the first 2 years you're hungry because you have to make it, you have to do it. Yeah. And then COVID happened, and then our Sticker Shock Speaking Academy that you see behind me, we train speakers from all over the United States and Mexico and Canada. We have one that might come in from Europe. So until they come in, I can't say international yet as far as worldwide, but we're an international speaking academy. And I share that with you because what happened was the success came during COVID. We blew up. Our business doubled in 2020, and then in 2021. Now, in 2021, I had more success than I've ever had. I started our revenue grew way above beyond what I was making in the automotive dealership. And then now our bank account has grown, and you get unmotivated. You start to self-sabotage. You procrastinate.
Yeah.
So for me to stay motivated, to be hungry, right? Because day one, you don't, right? You got to make it. You don't have no revenue. You don't have anything, right? But you got to go out there and market yourself and push. And I cried many times. It was hard. I mean, it was a struggle. To say that it was easy, man. I remember breaking wine glasses, beating up recycle bins. It was just because it builds your character. It tests your resilience. It tests your grit.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I had all this resolve in me that I hadn't used, right? It's kind of like we have reservoirs of resolve. We have reservoirs of resilience. We have reservoirs of grit. And when you need them, you can tap into them, but many people don't tap into them. And on my first year, I really thought about quitting and going back to the automotive dealership because I was making $200,000, $250,000 a year, which is a lot of money USD.
Right, right.
So that being said, I pushed through that first. And then as I found myself at a higher success level, subconsciously, your financial set point starts to bring you back down. And the things that you were hungry at before, you stop being hungry and you stop the motivation. So one of the main things that I had to do for myself was now I really needed a business coach. I hired a mentor. I hired a coach that I paid for. I've invested over $350,000, almost $400,000 already to this point in myself. And that's why we're where we're at in business. But you definitely need somebody to help you and guide you and not hold your hand to say, but to hold you accountable and to give you new ideas. That's one thing that I say to be motivated. And then I started putting myself in a different environment. If we're in the same environment every day, your subconscious mind knows that, right? Your subconscious, it knows it. So it's the same thought patterns every day, day in, day out. Yeah. You got to go to these conferences. You got to get yourself in these bigger rooms. You got to get yourself in these jets, get yourself in these luxury cars and these hotels that what happens at first, you're like, I don't feel I belong here. But as you grow as an individual, well, then it keeps you motivated because, right, you see more. And as you see more, you say, man, I can be, do, and have more myself, right? I can be, do, and have more myself. But you have to see it for yourself. And this is the thing is most people don't believe it for themselves. Most people don't believe success for themselves. So it's when you believe it for yourself, that's where part of the motivation and the inspiration comes in.
So if I can summarize that, it's stay hungry, right? Stay hungry. Don't get complacent. Man,
but it's easy to lose that hunger though.
Right.
People. So one of the things that we talk about in the makings of a millionaire mind is this: is that people say what everybody else says. Moses, they say it because they hear Daniel say it, they hear Moses say it, they hear us say it in the playground, and we believe these things as truth. And a great example of this is here in the States. Everybody, as you're a kid, they say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never.
I don't even know what. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Here in America, everybody says that, but they're conditioning you to believe that words don't hurt you, and words hurt you. Right. So people say, well, money makes you more of who you are. No, how do you know if you've never had money? How do people know that money makes you more of who you are if they've never had money? Yeah. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but right now, there's over 50% of Americans right now are living paycheck to paycheck. They're 1 or 2 paychecks away from homelessness, right? So if over 50% of America is living paycheck to paycheck, 1 or 2 checks away from being homeless, then how can they say when I have $1 million in the bank, it's going to make you more of who you are if they've never experienced even having $100,000 in the bank? They're saying it because everybody else says it. Right. But I can tell you from experience, as your bank account goes from 100 to 200 to 300 to $500,000, you're like, you can get lazy and you lose the motivation. Yeah. And it's hard to stay hungry. It really is. So I think for me, this is the shift that if you have a business right now, this is the shift that you need. Stop thinking as a business owner. Stop seeing yourself as a business owner that you're building a business. You're not building a business, Moses. You're building an empire. Let me say it again. You are building an empire to help other people, to bless your family, and to bless those around you. So when you shift that mindset that I'm just a business owner, no, anybody can go online right now and go to GoDaddy and buy a domain and I have a website and I'm in business. No, you want to build an empire. You want to build a legacy, and you got to think bigger. And when you stretch your imagination and think empire, that's where the next level of motivation and inspiration comes in play. And that's where I'm at, because I've gotten stuck two times in these past almost 6 years. I've gotten stuck pretty good. And I really needed some help to get unstuck because I'm at levels I had never been at. And it's easy to get complacent and you lose that hunger.
So stay hungry, but you might lose that hunger. Another thing that you mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, is surround yourself with the people that you want to be like. And I'm kind of like paraphrasing this, but like you put in the way that like as you start to be in these rooms and see these people be in those jets and those cars, you're like, I'm seeing more. I'm seeing what I can attain, right? How does that? Where is it?
And,
Yeah, go ahead.
and it could be as simple as you and your wife by yourself, or you and your husband by yourselves. Y'all can go look at a Rolls Royce. Just go to the Rolls Royce dealership. Go to a Mercedes dealership. Go to a Bentley dealership. Go to whatever luxury car you might want. And maybe you're like, Daniel, I don't want a luxury car. Okay, great. But those that want a luxury car, go out there and test drive that dream car. I call it. You got to test the dream, right? You got to taste, see, and feel the dream. You got to taste, see, and feel the vision. You got to go out there and put your hands on it, because I can guarantee you it's a higher energy. And maybe you're living in an apartment right now, or you don't believe that you can own a house. Go out there to an open house. Go see those new houses. And maybe if you have a dream house of a bigger house, go out there and go see these. Like the first time we went to an open house for multi-million-dollar homes, it's a different house, right? They got 20 shower heads. They got, you walk in one end of the shower, walk out the other. Like it's amazing to walk into these closets that are bigger than most bedrooms. But that's what I mean is that's a great anchor to put in your subconscious mind to draw you to the future you. And I love what you said, right? So write this down, ladies and gentlemen. Get in the habit of surrounding yourself with your future self. Get in the habit of surrounding yourself with your future self. And it's not fake it till you make it. You're surrounding yourself with your future self by allowing yourself to go see these cars, by allowing yourself to go walk through these open homes, right? These open houses on these $1 million homes, or whatever your dream house may be. You're surrounding yourself with your future self. If you want to get a nice luxury watch, or even go to a nicer restaurant, like you got to go do these things, Moses, because it accelerates, right? What you're doing is you're priming your brain, right? All these neurons are taking in all these optics, because your eyes are actually part of your brain. So as you're taking in all these optics, you're priming your brain, you're priming these new neural pathways, right? So you're like, wow. So when you actually get it, your mind says, I've been here before. I'm not a stranger.
Right. Yeah. Nah, that makes sense. And so, but of course, eventually, probably, hopefully sooner than later, you're gonna have to go from seeing and touching and feeling your dream to, okay, what is the step 0 or step 1 that I need to take in order to achieve that, right? And I feel like there's, and for those that listen relatively frequently, I've probably beaten this sentence to death already, but there's almost always a big distance between the conceptual understanding of something and the implementation of that conceptual understanding, right? So I can read everything I can read about driving a car, but until I actually get on the driver's seat, I'm not a driver yet, right? So in your world, what do you think is the biggest bottleneck that keeps people from, okay, I have the vision, I understand what I need to do, but damn it, to actually do it, there's just the difficulty from having and understood it to actually doing it. It's too much, or like, how does someone break it down from the conceptual understanding to the practical world?
Well, I'll give you an analogy. I'll give you two lessons in one.
Okay.
Me and you can go and buy a beautiful new $2 or $3 million Bugatti right now, and it's beautiful. The Bugatti is amazing, but if it has no gas, are we going to be able to drive it?
Nah, nope.
So it's useless, right? It's just a depreciating asset.
Right.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So say we get the courage to put gas in it now, and it's sitting there with gas, but until we turn on the engine, nothing happens, correct?
Yep.
And that's the way most people are. They go and buy that $2 million, $3 million Bugatti, and then they never put gas in it because they're so scared that, man, what if I wreck my car? What if somebody scratches it, right? These fears come against you. And then, so they never even attempt to start it because they're so fearful of what's going to happen. And that's the way business is. You have this idea of a business, which is your Bugatti, and then you say, well, I got this idea, and the gas represents the knowledge and the skill set that you need to get going. Most people never make the investment into that skill set, into that knowledge. So you got to get the skill set and the knowledge that you need for whatever business you want. And then B, the ones that do put the gas, the ones that do go to that first 2 or 3 conferences, they get a little bit of knowledge. Well, then they never turn on the engine to the Bugatti. They never execute, right? You have to execute. You have to execute, ladies and gentlemen. So A, you get your business idea. B, what is that business you want to do? Now start surrounding yourself with people. If it's real estate, learn real estate. If it's baking, learn how do I bake, right? What are you going to bake? Cakes, pies, or what are you going to bake? Bread? Learn what you're going to bake. Get skill set and get knowledge in that area. And then once you go to that conference or you hire a mentor or coach or you go to that school, well, then now after you have that tank full of gas of all that knowledge like your Bugatti, now you got to turn on the darn Bugatti and go at it. And most people, the biggest lie we've been told here in America is this, is knowledge is power. We hear it all the time. Knowledge is power. It's a bunch of BS. It's not. Application of the knowledge is power. You have to apply the knowledge, and even more self-application of the knowledge. You have to apply it for yourself, because it's easy to give advice to other people. Oh, Moses, go do this, go do that. Well, why don't you do it?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because they're scared and they're fearful. So right? So this is it. When you get a business idea, embrace the idea. Right? When you get the idea, there's 3 things. You got to receive the idea, you got to embrace the idea, and then you embody the idea of business. Once you receive it, you embrace it, you embody the idea of business, then, okay, great. Now I need to get knowledge in that business industry that I want to be in. And once you get the knowledge, then you got to execute it. And nothing happens without execution. Yeah. Millionaires execute.
Yeah, that is almost verbatim to what a different guest said yesterday. They took the knowledge is power sentence there, and they're like, yeah, that is a load of nonsense. It sounds good, it's easy to take in, but without any action, right? Without any action, it's nonsense. It's nonsense. Now, would you? I kind of know what you're gonna say, but at some point as you're trying to figure out. You're trying to answer all these questions about, okay, well, what business am I going to go into? Am I even good enough to have, what does the competitive landscape look like? Do I need to do all this research? Like, you're going through all these different questions. Would you recommend for someone to, like, let's say, have all their ducks in a row, so to speak, or just start? Figure out step 1, step 0, just start. Okay, I knew. Okay,
you just start because I just started. I didn't. So going back to I received the idea of becoming a motivational speaker. I embraced it, then I embodied it, and I just started. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't have speaker friends that I had been talking to forever. I didn't have anything. All I had was God and the ideas that He gave me, and then the Holy Spirit led me. And right, because I was intentional in learning the speaking business. This is the thing is when you're intentional. I talk about it in my book, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind. When you're intentional, go to Audible right now and get your copy, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind.com. I talk about this. I say, right, when you're intentional, the things you need show up. Nothing happens without you putting the intentions out there. So I put the intentions out there that I'm going to be a professional speaker. I'm going to speak. So now I'm a magnet, right? I'm a magnet attracting everything. And of course you got to do the work, or you got to wake up and do it. But instead of trying to chase everything, these opportunities come to you because now you've magnetized yourself to that level of frequency because that intention's out there. And next thing you know, just opportunities started coming to me. I went and got John Maxwell certified. That opened up another arena, took that to as far as I could. Then I realized, well, I'm promoting John Maxwell more than I'm promoting myself. So then I said, I'm going to stop doing that. I came up with my own logos, DG, right, for Daniel Gomez Inspires, which is our DG logo right there, right?
Okay.
Yep, it's known worldwide now. We trademarked that, and you just keep going forward. And it's I say this, and this is the wisdom behind this, because even if you have all your ducks in a row, at some point, you're still not going to have all your ducks in a row.
Right.
You're not, because then you're going to get stuck because you're so trying to be so organized that you missed a business opportunity. So my answer to that is, don't have your ducks in a row. Trust yourself enough. Just imagine that you're driving from the state of Texas to California at night. And all you need to do is just get in your car and start driving. And the wisdom in this is because your headlights can only see 40 to 50 feet max in front of you. You don't know exactly how you're going to get from Texas to California. You have an idea. You have the highway, but you don't know what's on that highway. But you trust your headlights to give you enough vision, enough knowledge to get you to where you need to be for the next 50 feet. And that's the same thing in business. I never knew I was going to have a brand called The Makings of a Millionaire Mind 6 years ago. That came out of just God. But Sticker Shock came out of because I was right. When you're faithful with the little, the world will reward you with more. When you're faithful with the little, God will reward you with more. But if you're not doing anything with what you have, how do you expect to be given more, Moses?
Right. Oh, wow, that's a good question. Wait, so do you help people figure out what it is that they're good at? So for example, like if I wanted to be a speaker, you might be, I don't know, verbally eloquent, so to speak. You might have all these charismatic features on you, but that does not necessarily make you a good speaker, or doesn't mean that you have things that people would be interested in listening to. So do you coach people to figure out what it is that they're good at and then also become speakers? Like I don't know anything about this world of speaking engagements and whatnot, so let me in on this. What's going on?
Yeah, so great question, right? Everybody can be a speaker. You know why? Because everybody has a story. And if you look at one of the top speakers ever in the world, which we all have heard of him in the personal growth industry, is Les Brown. Les Brown made millions and millions of dollars. Why? Because he always shared the same. He still shares the same story. When he goes on stage, he always says, "I'm Mimi's little boy. Mimi's little boy." He always talks about Mimi's little boy. He always talks about that. I guarantee you, he uses that over 70% of his messages. He talks about being Mimi's little boy. I'm just Les Brown, Mimi's little boy. That's his story, because his mom was adopted by Mimi. That was his mom. Yeah. So your story has value, and that's what we teach you, right? The world, and here it says the world needs to hear your story. So everybody can learn how to share their story, because sometimes this is the mistake that we make in life and in business. We think we're the only ones going through it, Moses. We think we're the only ones going through it, and because we think we're the only ones going through it, we're either ashamed of it, we feel guilty about what we're going through, or B, we just shut down because it's like we feel embarrassed of the failures you may feel, and then because of that, you put more pressure on yourself. You're hard on yourself when you don't have no reason to be hard on yourself.
Okay. So then there's still a disconnect between sharing your story and making money. So where is that disconnect? Can you fill the gap in? Or
that's where I teach you.
Okay.
That's where you hire Daniel Gomez, how to formulate your story.
Yeah.
We just had a mastermind, right? We just had our Millionaire Mastermind Weekend Retreat. And we worked on the storyline for many people, and they were crying. They were just like, wow, they never heard it that way. And it's a gift that I have of how to formulate stories. I have that gifting, and people were like, Daniel, I've never heard it like that. I'm like, it's just a gift that I have. So when you come to Daniel Gomez, whether it's for a speaking business or brick and mortar business, I have all the ideals. I have the concepts. I get them for you according to what you're right. Every time I work with a client, we do an assessment, because everybody has a different need. Everybody has a different path. So I see what your dream is for your business. We talk about it. And if it's in speaking, tell me about your story. We formulate the story. We formulate the keynote. We formulate the topic. And then you just put in the reps. And the truth is, no matter what you do, Moses, you're going to have to put in the repetition. You're going to have to put in the reps. You're not going to get better until you put in the reps. I have succeeded forward many times. But I've succeeded forward many times because I'm doing the work. I'm doing the reps. I don't like that word failure, right? Fell forward. No, if you look up the dictionary in the word failure, it says that you quit. I've never quit, so I've never been a failure. So I don't identify with that word.
Yeah. Okay.
I haven't succeeded maybe as much as I wanted to.
Yeah.
So I say I'm succeeding forward to another level.
That's well
Does that
put.
make sense? Like people, I say people. That's a great example. People just say things because people say things. I don't fail. No. Like, why would you even call yourself a failure? No. Like, no. But when you study the word on the dictionary, the word, look it up, ladies and gentlemen. Failure says that you quit on something. I've never quit on nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Any either for yourself or some people that you've coached that have managed to get into the TED Talk world?
Oh yes, we have one of our speakers that went into TED Talks.
Oh, okay,
and
cool.
We've had other ones that have gone into I myself, my big break came when I trained the United States Air Force.
Okay.
That was a huge break for me when I trained. Not many speakers can say that they've trained the United States Air Force.
Yeah.
And TEDx is good, but that's another misconception, right? People chase TEDx, and just because you're a TEDx, I know many TEDx speakers that stink as speakers. They don't know how to monetize it.
Right.
So they're chasing the TEDx, I guess, stage. Right. Yeah. I've never been on TEDx, and we've made millions. So I know people. I know hundreds of people that have been on TEDx and are broke.
Right. Yeah.
So it's really what is it that right? Are you wanting the Gucci purse, the Gucci watch? Are you wanting the Louis Vuitton purse just to say you have it, or are you going to utilize it to help you get more customers?
Yeah.
And many people, they don't know how to monetize what they have, and that's what I show you how to take your book, right? And I call it book to business. B squared. How to take your book and make your book a business. But it's the business mindset that we have.
Yeah.
And many people don't know. They get on a TEDx stage, and I'm not knocking TEDx.
Yep.
One day I'll be on a TEDx stage, but I'll use that to enhance my brand. But it's like I'm not chasing it and paying $10,000 to be on a stage, because we have our own events, and I'd rather invest that money on something else.
Any pushback on I don't know if naysayers is the right label here for trying to monetize people's stories? It just feels like one of those things that would be a magnet to that kind of sentiment.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is a reality, and we this year we got hit harder than ever by family members. Is when you're succeeding, there's two things that happen, Moses, when you're succeeding. Moses wakes up, he's making $1 million a year, beautiful new house, beautiful Corvette, beautiful Lamborghini. Moses is doing his thing. And Moses is either inspiring people, is the one thing, right? You're either inspiring people, which, knowing your heart, that's what that's your whole reason, because you want to help people, you want to inspire people. That's why you post these stories on Instagram and social media. Yeah. Or when you post these things, right? If you're not inspiring people, the people that ain't doing what they know they should be doing, and you're reminding them of the things that they're not doing, right? Those are the people that despise you and that criticize you, and those are the people that become your naysayers, because they're not doing what they know they should do. Okay. And the thing is, the higher you go, the brighter you go, and people are just sometimes mean people, and it's okay. But it's not a Daniel issue. It's not a Moses issue. It's a them issue. Because you're reminding them of what they shouldn't be doing. But the people that are doing the work, you're inspiring them to go to the next level with you. And
just like it's a good segue into resentment. Right? So well, you said you don't use the word failure. So I don't know which word to replace that with. But for people that have dabbled into different kinds of businesses, maybe they tried to start a little bakery, maybe they tried to start a little mechanic shop, maybe they tried to start a giant investment firm, right? But they did not succeed in that endeavor, and so after X amount of time, they've grown resentment towards other people that have something that closely resembles success in their business in the endeavor. If you are one of those people, right, that have grown deep resentment towards those that have succeeded in their business and endeavors because of, well, your own failures. Well, I don't know, not failure, but your own lack of success. How do you dig yourself out of this hole? Right? Because I feel like if you are bitter and resentful because someone else's business succeeded and yours didn't, it might be a pretty dark hole to start from. In contrast to someone who they never attempted to start a business, right? So they may not know that weight of not having a successful business and seeing others succeeding. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So no, great question. So the way I'm gonna let me see if I have this. What happens is this. What happens is this is when you fall into resentment. It's huge. It's a huge problem to have. Right. Because you fall into the destructive mindset, right? Your brain is either creative or it's destructive. You either tap into your creativeness in your thinking and your mind and your brain, or you go to the destructive side on your thinking process and your brain. And what happens is when you put on the lens of resentment, right? You put on the lens of resentment. Now, everything that I look at, I'm looking at it through the lens of resentment. So I miss the opportunities that are meant for me by God. Okay. Because everything is green. Everything is resentful. And even if an opportunity came up to me right here, I wouldn't be able to see it because I don't have the right lens. It's going to pass me by. Right. And because what happens is when you have resentment, bitterness, envy, unforgiveness, all those result from resentment, you're thinking with the wrong side of the brain. So it's imperative to you that you release all resentment, because if not, all those $1 million opportunities that are meant for you, you're going to miss it because you can't see it through these. And it's just an example like an x-ray machine. This is your x-ray machine that you're not using, so you're missing the opportunities that are in front of you. Because people say, well, I don't care, right? I'm not going to forgive them. Well, you're making a huge error there, because you're not releasing the resentment for that person, for Moses, for Daniel. Right. You're releasing the resentment for you because it's hurting your business. That's the reason your business isn't growing, because you're operating in negative energy. Yeah. And so I encourage you to release the resentment, take off these bad lenses, and forgive those people, because at the end of the day, you're hurting your business, your life, your family, and then you're passing that on generational wise. Man, I've known some bitter, ugly old people, and you always wondered why, and they never let go. The resentment eats you up inside, ladies and gentlemen. You don't believe me? Go meet somebody who has arthritis. Go meet somebody who has a bad case of arthritis, and usually they're holding on to resentment or anger towards somebody. True story.
And for those that are listening only, Daniel had put on this giant green goggles, as you call them, glasses, to represent resentment. That you basically just walking with this. Your reality is heavily distorted by these glasses, and you're carrying that with you everywhere that you go. So what? I'm guessing that you, well, you said you don't believe in like business plans and whatnot, but so what does 5 years look like for Sticker Shocker or any other endeavor that you have on?
Well, in 5 years, look, I have it right here. In 5 years, I'm going to be the #1 motivational speaker in the world. Let's go. I already have it on my vision.
Let's go.
#1 motivational speaker in the world. I made the sign. They told me not to talk about the sign because they said it's arrogant. No, it's my dream. That's my vision for me. Yeah. So I see it. I talk about it. So in 5 years, I will be the #1 motivational speaker in the world. I'll have my jet, and I'm going to be traveling all over the world, encouraging, talking about God's principles to businesses. And right, you can talk about God's principles without talking about God in business. And I do it all the time. People don't even realize it. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be one of the top motivational, the #1 motivation. Daniel Gomez Inspires will be the #1 motivational speaker in 5 years. And I will have my house on the lake, and I'm going to be helping even more people. So our business is going to have, in 5 years, we'll have 10 hardworking, dedicated employees that go above and beyond for our customers. And it's going to be amazing. I'm excited for that.
What jet and what lake?
Gulfstream. I have it right here. Gulfstream G650.
Okay.
Yeah. Like as a matter of fact, give me one moment. Look, I'll show you.
Yeah, take your time. I love this. So for those that are only listening, Daniel just left the frame. He's gonna go get this.
I'm joking, right?
he's gonna tell me about all his jet.
right here.
Oh my goodness.
Gulfstream.
Yeah, you're not joking at all.
Look at that.
Yeah, yeah.
Gulfstream
The
G650.
650. Okay,
That's it.
okay, man, that's amazing. So what you're saying to me, right, very loudly is the power of visualizing something, right? And you, if you pay attention, you see this in some of the most successful businesses in the world, Apple being one of them. Like when you walk into an Apple store, you get to touch the iPhones. Even if the iPhone was announced today and tomorrow it gets released to the mass public, you walk into the stores, you're not gonna hear oh, we don't have them for display. We don't have. No, you're gonna get there. You're gonna see. You're gonna touch it. You're gonna experience the product firsthand. And Apple employees are not there, touching the iPhones and stuff like that. They want you to feel like this is yours already before even it's even yours. So one, is that a good representation of what you're saying? Is it like a huge emphasis on the power of visualizing your own success?
Yeah. What people don't realize, write this down, ladies and gentlemen. The dominant pictures in your head draw you towards your future. Let me say that again. The dominant pictures in your head draw you towards your future. So what are you being drawn to? What are you being drawn to automatically because you have the wrong picture in your mind? And a good example is I think we've all experienced this. It doesn't matter what car you drive. We'll just say you go buy a brand new Toyota Camry or a Honda Accord. You've never had one in your life, Moses. What do you start seeing all of a sudden everywhere?
That Honda.
That same car, right?
Yep.
And it was always there, except the filter, right? Your reticular activating system, your ROS part of your brain, it didn't allow it in because your filter wasn't shifted. So you have to learn how to shift your filter. So when you visualize and you change the pictures that are going in, little by little, you're changing the filters, and you're like,
yeah,
I'm attracting this. Like just yesterday, I was with Terrell Owens. It wasn't by accident.
Yeah,
I was with the world famous Hall of Famer, right? And it was like, I'll be there. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get a picture with this guy. Right. I got a picture with him because why? Because at some point our energies are coincident, right? Just the way you think, our energies connected. And those people like Terrell Owens, multi-millionaire, billionaires, they're here at these frequencies. You got to raise your frequency to get there. And I was excited because I'm like, man, this is awesome. I got a chance to take a picture with T.O.
Yeah. No, that's pretty powerful. It's like a few weeks ago, I decided to, or 2.5 months ago. Yeah, 2 months ago, I decided to learn how to be a pilot. Speaking of the G650, and just like the advice that you gave, just start, right? You don't have to have everything all in order. You don't have to know, who's gonna be my instructor, the school and all that. Just start, and just long story short, finished it, and I'm flying back to Europe, and the person that is sitting right next to me for the first time ever also happens to be a pilot. That's never happened to me. Yeah, and it's not like
that's not an accident.
Yeah, it's not like he was dressed like a pilot. It's just like you just saw me. There's an app that we use called For Flight. It's pretty much the bread and butter of flying. Think of like your GPS and everything that you need as a pilot. It's on there. Anyways, I'm just playing around with it, looking at the airspace in Lisbon where we were flying into. And he's like, "Hey, I don't mean to get all in your business, but you're a pilot." I'm like, "Yeah. I just became one like 3-4 hours ago," and so we just started yapping. But it just goes to further emphasize the experience. Like, one, you visualize it, and then you pursue it, you attain it, and then your world starts to shift, right? Based on on the things that based on the lenses that you're looking at the world through. Before, I didn't even know about foresight. I had no idea about. I just knew that airplanes are a thing, and I like them, and that was about it, right? So, yeah. And as we're getting to a close here, since saying that an hour already is going by fast. What are some of the final thoughts that you would love to leave the audience with?
I want you to believe it for yourself. I want you to believe it for you, ladies and gentlemen. You're not listening to this podcast by accident. You're not listening to it by chance. This was a God ordained meeting for you to realize that your dreams can come true. It's always easier to believe it for somebody else, but today is the day you shift that perspective. You turn the light on yourself and you realize, I can do this. I can become that because it's in you. You're stronger than you think. You're more capable than you realize. But nothing happens until that belief in you says, I can believe it for me. Believe it for yourself. Believe that it can happen for you. Believe that it can happen to you. And believe that your dreams can become a reality. Yes, it's going to take some work. Yes, it's going to take some effort. Yes, it's going to take some investments in yourself.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, would you rather live with regret when you're on your deathbed, or would you rather say, I gave it everything I had and look at what I made it to? And I guarantee you, when you do that, when you really develop the makings of a millionaire mind,
yeah,
what you need is going to show up just the way that pilot showed up next to Moses. Go to Audible, get a copy of this book, or go to Amazon, get your copy right now. Worldwide, it's available on Audible or Amazon, themakingsofaMillionaireMind.com. And what I want to do for your audience is text this number, ladies and gentlemen, 210-942-5059. That's 210-942-5059. Text the word millionaire, and I want to include you in our community where you're going to get inspirational messages and everything else, because I want to pour into you.
Lovely. And this just came to mind as we were talking, but I know we're coming to a close here. But so you said the world needs to hear your story. And how often is it that as you're talking to someone, you start to notice that they don't really know their own story? Like, is that even a thing? Because I feel like it would probably play a huge role into why some of us don't even conceptualize ourselves living a better life or going after that dream, but we have an easier time visualizing that for someone else, but not our own. And I'm wondering if that has to do with us forgetting our own story.
Well, they don't even believe that, right? They don't even believe their story matters, and your story matters. Like, people don't think that their story is, they think this is a mistake that they make. Well, my story is just an ordinary story. It's not great. No, like, there's parts of your story that people need to hear, the world needs to hear, and they're very important. So don't minimize the value of your story, because even the smallest part that you think's invaluable, it can change someone's life.
Yeah. And another.
So I would say it like this: your story, ladies and gentlemen, your story matters. Write that down. My story matters. Your story matters. Your story matters.
Speaking of stories and stories mattering, Daniel Gomez, what is your absolute earliest memory?
My earliest memory is me playing in the pre-K. It was called a Head Start school, and I was riding these little big old red bikes, like a little tricycle red bike. And I was probably like 3 or 4 years old. I remember being in the playground because they had this little playscape that looked like a rocket. And I always remember that as a kid. Even when we passed through there sometimes, we still have family that lives on that side of San Antonio. The building's not gone, right? The old school's gone, torn down, because it was talking about back in the 1970s, 1980s. But the school's gone. But there in that corner, every time I pass through that intersection, I think about when I was a kid and I could see myself playing in the cement playground, just pushing the bikes around.
How old would you say that was? 3, 5?
I was either 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Okay. That's amazing. It's like old. You didn't even have to like think too deep about it, because I like to ask that question quite often, and some people usually takes them a minute, good or bad. It's not a judgment on that. It's just like sometimes people just really see that, like, oh man, what is it? And you're just like, oh yeah, I got it. It's right here. It's right here. So that's really awesome. Daniel Gomez, I really want to say thank you for having come onto the Moses Kabandana Podcast and share with us all these nuggets that you've gathered over time. And thank you.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, follow me on Instagram, Daniel Gomez Inspires. That's my brand handle, Daniel Gomez Inspires. And also on Facebook, Daniel Gomez Inspires. And then I'm on LinkedIn also under Daniel Gomez, award-winning business coach and keynote speaker. I'd love to help you. Reach out to me, send me a message on Instagram, and I would love to bless you with a complimentary discovery session, one-on-one session with me and you. So I'd love to give that gift to your audience too. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate everybody.
All right. Thank you. Bye.